So the last video you guys would have seen with me and my car was when I threw the entire car together in one video, got it running to drive an event, which was RAF. Since then, the car has kind of fell apart because obviously it was like a fresh build and a lot of things need to show their wear as you drive the car. So what we're going to be doing today is fixing all the things that came up that need to be addressed because I need to drive another event in 2 days. For those of you guys that are new to the channel, this is my S14 and my S14 SR I just finished rebuilding. I have a whole series where I pretty much went through and rebuilt this entire thing. It has a built bottom end, redone head, and a stock turbo and stock ECU because I'm an idiot. But yeah, what we're going to be doing today is addressing all the things that wore out because the fact it was a fresh rebuild. The first thing is this hose right here on the back of the head that goes to the block. It's like the head to block drain. It actually melted because the turbo got so hot, so I put this temporary hose. I got a new OEM hose for it. This hose here is also like hitting my dipstick, so I got the OEM one of those. But those are minor stuff. I also got a new coolant temp sensor for the gauge because for some reason, one day when I was driving a class, the coolant temp on the gauge right here just started jumping like crazy and then it decided to break. Thankfully I have my Yashio factory gauge here, so I still had some like form of water temp. I tried swapping another OEM cluster in to see if it was just a cluster that went bad, and it was still not working, so I'm assuming it's the temp sensor that's for the gauge, which is the 1-pin sensor down there, not the rectangle one next to it. That's for the actual ECU. So I got a new one of those. Then also I have this problem that whenever I turn my headlights on, which are HIDs, or I'm listening to music, the idle drops really low and the car wants to stall. I'm not sure if that's because of the fact I have a Miata battery which is really weak, or maybe the LS1 alternator has like this weird thing going on with it, or what. But what I'm leaning towards is I only added like 2 grounds on this entire motor, so I want to add more grounds to the motor. And then also I'm pretty sure I have a pretty bad boost leak. Actually, the entire time I was driving RAF, I didn't realize it. I had a port open on the intake manifold right here. So I had a giant boost leak, and that's why the car was like probably shooting flames and it idled like crap. So what I want to do is do a boost leak test again, verify that it's holding pressure, and then I finally figured out how to use the Yashio factory V1 water temp gauge to go through the different modes, including TPS and timing, so I could set the timing on the motor to what the gauge is reading, because that's what the ECU is demanding, because it's kind of hard to set timing with Tomei palm cams on a stock ECU. So at least that way I can verify that the ECU is getting exactly what the sensor is reading. But yeah, so I'm going to set the timing. I also want to set the idle. I want to do a boost leak test. I want to add grounds. I want to fix the hoses that melted. Oh, in addition to the hose that melted right here, which I'm going to show in a second, I had my chase base brake lines right here. For some reason, one of them here moved, which is for the rear brakes, touched the manifold and completely like melted. I'm not sure if I could get that on camera. But yeah, I have a new brake line that I also want to change for the rear brakes before I like burst. And I also need to get my rear tires mounted, which is just quick. For that, I just got some 225/40/18 Ironmans, which is what's on here right now. I also normally run Valinos, which are right there. They're 300 treadwear Pergias, but I don't want to run that right now without having my boost controller and a stock ECU and just putting a lot of strain in the drivetrain, which is going to require a lot of clutch kicks because that's just too much shock since this motor is still being broken in. So yeah, I'm going to bring those, so if I get tempted I can use them, but I'm going to try to avoid it. And yeah, everything else should be really quick and simple. I also need to change the oil because I never did that. And I need to center the steering wheel because when I put the steering shaft into the rack, I kind of got the steering wheel a little crooked. So I got the rear Model 5s off the car and I took the center caps off of them so the tire shop doesn't damage them. Here are the new Ironmans I'm going to get mounted to replace these, and as you guys can see, they definitely needed to be replaced. I also have one of the front Model 5s here without a tire because I had to get it re-chromed because my dog pissed on it. So I have to get this tire remounted on this one, and I have to remember that is for the front left. Hopefully I don't forget that. And then I also brought down my rear Minervas because I'm going to bring these also with me to Deluxe, which is the drift event I'm going to. But one thing I noticed is this one that I brought down first, solid. This one that I brought down second, flat. So my guess is when I had the Volinos mounted before, they probably nicked the bead and now this one leaks air, but whatever. I'm just going to kill these tires and probably just rebuild them after that. And yeah. Now we're all set to go get these mounted. So now that we got the tires all mounted and the rears are on the car, I'm going to move on to adding grounds, mainly to the alternator because I feel like this might be the reason my battery isn't charging. Normally I keep this car on a battery tender, and then the first time I start it, it always starts. But then the second time I go to start it without it on a tender, I always had to jump it with my little portable jumper here on the battery. And I'm not sure if it's because the battery itself is bad or too small because it is a Miata battery, or if it's because I don't have a good enough ground on the alternator so it's not charging the battery. So I'm just gonna quickly add another ground right there to the alternator, maybe on that main post on the top instead of the back of the casing, but I will keep the one on the casing too. And then while I'm at it, I'll add another ground to the block because I barely have any grounds on this motor, and hopefully that fixes it. If not, I'm just gonna upgrade to a bigger battery and finish the relocation in the rear later. So as you guys can see, the oil is draining out of the car right now. I'm doing the oil change, and this is actually my first oil change minus the quick one I did after the break-in oil on this motor. So this has about one full drift event and maybe 500 miles, maybe even more than that one, and there's like barely any gunk on the magnetic drain plug, so pretty happy with that. So while the oil is just trickling into the pan, I'm going to move on to the oil filter, and for that I like to use OEM Nissan filters because I just feel like they're the best quality and they're cheap if you buy them in bulk. But for those of you guys with SRs, you know how much of a pain it is to take that oil filter out if you don't have a relocation kit, and how messy it is. So what I did is I put some microfibers down there to hopefully try to catch some of the oil so it doesn't spill all over all the new clean stuff. But yeah, we'll see how that goes, and then after that we could finally start moving on to the serious stuff, like getting this thing to run right, fixing the brake line that's melted, and actually being able to drive the event. While I was over here pulling this dipstick in and out to check the oil level while I was filling it, it reminded me I still need to change this hose over here and the hose in the back. The reasons is the one in the front here is touching the dipstick and it makes it really hard for the dipstick to come in and out. So I got a new OEM one that has a bend to it, and with this bend, if it would focus, you guys could see it kind of notches away from the dipstick, giving it more space. And then the one in the back, it actually got burnt up, and then I put this hose here that's actually a straight hose temporarily, and I bent it, and because of that it's kinked right there and it has like no flow to it. So I got a new OEM hose, and thankfully the new OEM hose has a heat shield to it, so hopefully it won't burn up like the old one. This is the old one that used to be on the car. You guys could see right here it got freaking annihilated, and the reason is right where that bend is right where the turbo manifold is, and I guess just from all the heat it kind of just got cooked. So yeah, thankfully this one has a heat shield. I'm pretty sure this one's supposed to have a heat shield, but it just kind of went missing during the rebuild, and it kind of makes me want to put something on this one later on, so hopefully it survives this one event and I'll put something afterwards because it is like right on the manifold too. What the fuck? So as you guys can see, there's a big difference between the aftermarket hose that I was using and the OEM hose. The biggest thing is there's a heat shield and it's shaped for the valve cover drain, and the reason I really wanted to get it besides the heat shield is you guys can see with the straight hose I actually had a kink right here, and I believe that was causing problems with the head drain. So yeah, OEM hose, heat shield, and hopefully I remember to get a heat shield for this hose, because I feel like if I don't get one, it's gonna end up getting cooked. But as you guys can see, with the bend right here, it's so much easier to get to the dipstick. So as you guys can see, this brake line is super melted. I did get a new one and I really wanted to change it, but unfortunately I didn't realize they didn't give me the washers that go on each side of this banjo. So I don't want to change this brake line, reuse the washers, and have that potentially leak into my freshly painted engine bay. So I'm just going to hold off on that for now. But I did add a P-clamp all the way down there that attached to the frame rail, and hopefully that's like enough to keep the brake line away from the turbo manifold and the turbo, and hopefully it doesn't get any more cooked. But yeah, now what we're going to be doing is a boost leak test, just to make sure everything is running right without any vacuum leaks. To do that, I show this a couple times on my channel, but this is just a PVC cap that I drilled a hole into and put a valve stem so I could attach a compressor. And yeah, I'm just going to put air in it and see if it holds. So it looks like my actual cap is leaking. This is just a purple power cap I drilled a hole into and put a wheel valve stem into. And you guys could see here that the seal is super cracked and dry rotted. So it finally gave out. I guess now I'm going to take it apart, see if I have a spare wheel valve stem, and rebuild this thing. So I did end up finding another valve stem so I could rebuild this thing, and now I get to show you guys how to make one if you guys want to make one on your own. For me, again, I used a purple power cap because somehow it ended up being the exact same size as the SR intake silicone coupler. And let me just undo this real quick so I can show you guys how to put it together. So to make one of these caps, it's really easy. You just need a PVC cap that's the right diameter of your intake, or for me, a purple power cap that somehow ended up being the right size. And then you're just gonna drill a hole in it. For me, I think this was 12 millimeters, or however big a valve stem hole is. And then you're just gonna take your valve stem with the bottom half taken off, stick it inside, take your rubber grommet, put it on the metal sleeve, just like that. Go focus. And then there's two nuts, which are locking nuts. You're just gonna put those on as well. I'm not sure how well this is going to come up on camera, but I did get up to 10 psi in here, and it was holding. So after doing a boost leak test, this thing seems like it's good. It's actually holding 10 psi. What ended up happening in the last clip was this actually came loose. I still have 10 psi in this right now, and it is pressurized, and you guys can tell there's like no noise coming out. But if I just hit this little valve, you can see it is pressurized. But yeah, we're all good. Now we can move on to timing, idle, TPS. And for TPS, I wanted to show you guys, and timing, I wanted to show you guys how to use the Yashio factory V1 gauge to basically make sure what you're getting on the sensor matches what the ECU is reading. So now that we did a boost leak test and confirmed there's no vacuum leaks, now we're going to use the Yashio factory V1 gauge to set the TPS and the ignition timing, because this does have the capability of doing those, or verifying what the ECU is reading in addition to water temp. So to do that, you just need to put the key in, wait for the gauge to turn on, and then you're going to press the bottom left and bottom right buttons at the same time, and then bump the starter, and you can see now the gauge is doing like a little weird twirly thing. I believe water temp is mode number 17, but mode 10 is TPS. So now you're just gonna go to mode 10, click mode, and now you can see, wait, maybe it's not 10. So TPS is mode number 14. So we're gonna go down to 14, click mode, and you can see we're at 0.7 volts. It says the S14 SR should be at 0.45 volts, but this can't read that low. So I'm just going to set it at 0.5 volts. You can see if I go full throttle, 4 volts, off, 0.7. So yeah. Now we're gonna adjust it at the TPS, so this is at 0.5. So I think my TPS sensor might be going bad because I have it all the way adjusted to the side, and the lowest I could get the reading down to is 0.6, and then with full throttle 3.9. It should be at 0.5, but on my TPS sensor right here, you could see I am completely maxed out to the side and I have nowhere to move it otherwise, so I'm gonna order a new one of those. For now I'm just gonna let it be at 0.6 and hope it's fine. But yeah, now let's move on to timing. Okay, now we are gonna start moving towards setting the idle and timing. To do timing, you are gonna need a timing light, and it's pretty easy. You just connect your little lead right here to the #1 coil pack. I like putting a microfiber just so it doesn't get a bad signal by the other harnesses, and then you just need a positive, negative. And now, using the Yashio factory gauge, we're actually going to use this to verify what we're reading on the timing light is the same as what the car is believing it's getting. So we're going to put this into mode number 15 by pressing, oh man, I might not be able to do this while holding the camera. Okay, just take my word for it. We're gonna press up and down on the gauge, bump the starter, and you can see now it is going into the mode where we could change the modes. We're gonna go down to mode 15, click mode, and now we could see what ignition timing is at. It thinks right now it's getting 5 degrees, so now we're gonna start the car. So it's definitely off. The gauge is saying that the car is giving 25 degrees of timing. On the timing light, I'm seeing 10 degrees. So now I'm just gonna adjust the distributor, the CAS, and get it to match between the two. This is just gonna be a lot of back and forth. So I'll show you guys once I get it all settled, and then I'll show how to verify it's actually correct. So I think I got the idle and timing as close as I could get it. For some reason, it doesn't make sense to me on the gauge here. It was saying that it was at like 30 degrees of timing at idle, and I know it should be at like 15 or maybe even 20. So I'm not sure what's going on there. The ECU is clearly seeing 30. I wasn't sure what to set this at, but I got it to the point where I just like split it down the middle. I think it is like the ECU was reading 30. This is at 25 when it should be at whatever. So yeah, hopefully this thing doesn't blow up. I'm gonna try to get this thing on my Link ECU as soon as possible, which is sitting right up there, but it just needs to survive one more event. I didn't do the coolant temp sensor, so I still don't have a working cluster temp gauge, but that's fine. And I didn't do the brake line. Hopefully that doesn't fail. Everything else is pretty much good. I just had to pack the car up. The only reason I'm calling it right now is because I have a long drive to Sacramento and my girlfriend's kind of waiting for me, so I can only do so much. So I'll fix those things when I get back. Now let's just drive the car and see if everything is good. Maybe you'll even feel faster because the timing is like where the ECU kind of sees it now. Before it was like the gauge was reading 30 and this was set at like I think 20 or something. So yeah, we'll see. For those of you guys that are thinking about putting 2 fixed bucket seats in your car that you drive to the track with all your stuff, this is what you're gonna have to do. Every single time I want to load my wheels and stuff, I have to pull one of the seats out so I could put one of the wheels in the back seat. And then this is the stuff I'm bringing over to the track, my other spare jump pack because this battery might die, basic tools, some fluids, compressor, timing light because who knows if I got that right. And then we got some quick detailer, the other wheel, aluminum jack, and yeah, we're all set to go. Now I'm gonna drive all the way to Sacramento and let's see if the car makes it. So I made it to Sac last night and it was pretty good other than the fact I was rubbing like crazy in the rear. I actually ended up curbing my rims in some areas because it was hitting my quarter panel due to all the weight in the car. And I also did add a bunch of stuff in here that I didn't show, so I got like my helmets and stuff, and I got my couch type chair in the back which added a bunch of weight. So what I'm going to do right now before driving up to Thunder Hill is I'm going to actually jack the back up, take off one of the slip-on 3mm spacers, and hopefully that'll be fine because now I'm going to have my girlfriend in the car too and I don't want the added weight to cause more rubbing. seat back in. So we made it to Deluxe. The car made it here without any issues. The only thing is, as you guys seen, I had to take the spacers off the back because I was rubbing so much. But yeah, we made it. The car is here. The pits are full but empty right now because everyone is online to drive this track. Just looking at this track, it looks really technical. There's a lot of sharp turns and like U-turns, and it's made to like emphasize tandem driving, and I kind of understand where Joe was like going with this, but for someone like me that's on stock knuckles, I might go in the wall today. We'll see. But yeah, let's get some good driving in and just see how today goes, I guess. So I'm about to do my first lap here at Deluxe, and I'm not sure what to expect again, but as you guys can see, the line is extremely long. There's actually a really long line behind me too, and yeah, I think it's really backed up just because of the way the layout is made. There's a lot of moments where people could cross paths, so they could only let so many cars out at once. So we'll see how that goes throughout the day, but from what it seems like, this layout is really good for tandem driving, and I really hope to get some laps in with like Vincent and Ulysses and everyone that's here, so we'll see. But for this first lap, one, I don't trust the car. Two, I have no idea what the layout actually is, so I'm just gonna feel it out and we'll go from there.
Nice. You're gonna pick those ones up?
I was not expecting that. I kind of get it, I kind of don't.
What do you think?
My gearing is not set up for this at all. I'm like on limiter in second. It's the same thing as like RAF.
Well, shouldn't they move those other two cones that are right in the middle?
No, that was my line.
Oh.
Everywhere.
There's literally cones everywhere, like all over the track. That's crazy.
I feel like I was playing fucking dodgeball the entire time.
No, you were. There's literally cones all over.
ducking on the side of my car so I don't get a copyright strike because of Matt's music. He's actually doing like a mixing DJ thing for this event. I don't know, but he's like really into it, so I like that. But I just did 3 runs, 2 solo runs to feel out the track, and then 1 run following Vincent. It felt really good. I felt like I was really close to him throughout the course. The only thing is there was like a bunch of cones everywhere, so I'd have to like straighten out, dodge the cone, and keep going. When I was doing my solo runs, the layout kind of felt like ass, I'm not gonna lie. But then when I was following Vincent, it like clicked and it made a lot of sense. So shout out Joe, I actually really like the layout for tandeming. And yeah, let's keep going throughout the day and see how it goes. The only thing that sucks is I did 1 tandem run and my car was overheating. So now we gotta just let it cool down. You can hear my fans probably in the background. We gotta let it cool down and I'll just keep going.
What did you think as passenger?
The layout, yeah, actually, it was better when you were like tandeming because like you were following him
On
like
the transition,
yeah,
the transitions actually clicked, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. It was good. I don't know what to say.
So now I'm with Joe, who's the host of this event. I wanted to ask you real quick, what was your thought process behind the layout you used today?
So I wanted to make the beginning style kind of technical, make it very like low speed technical turns, and then you gotta sweep that back section and go fast on the entry. I feel like all Deluxe layouts have always been like super fast entries, and I wanted to switch it up. I was like, let me do some where, because with the last Deluxe layouts, it's always like everyone's gapping each other.
I noticed that too. If you ever look at footage from a Deluxe event, you would see like 3-car tandems and there's like 10-car gaps.
Everyone's like chasing each other. It's always a fast entry and a fast exit. But with this, it's like real technical. You get real close, you sweep that back section, and then there's that fast section.
I'm not gonna lie, I was driving with Vincent, who makes way more power than me. I was on him the entire time.
It doesn't matter about power because it's a technical layout.
Exactly. I appreciate you. We're gonna touch base with him again in a little bit.
I'm gonna hop on a ride along though. I might drive the whip too.
This pussy didn't bring his car.
Bro, I'm super deep prep. Super deep prep.
That was a bad cut.
Every time.
At least it's not an incline. So close. That was crazy. Yeah, go.
grip. That lap was ass. The entire time I was on the foot brake because I think I don't have enough grip in the rear. I'm too lazy to go air down because honestly this line takes a really long time. So we're just gonna keep going. I really want to do runs with other people, but everyone's kind of cuffed already. It's kind of like, you know, you're trying to find someone, but everyone's already took. So
everybody's cuffed.
Yeah, I don't have anyone to drive with. I'm pretty bored, I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully Vincent comes around if I could steal him, you know, but we'll see.
That's not
out the track. I'm able to make it work by like stretching out one of the zones in second just on limiter and another zone by clicking third and going to second. Ideally, I feel like this would be a lot easier if I just had a little bit more angle or just a little bit shorter of a gear ratio. Right now I have a 4.6 final drive, and with the SR that's kind of, you know, too short. That's more like a KA setup. So I might go down to a 4.3 or a 4.1. But yeah, now my job is to go around the pits being that guy, being like, will you please drive with me? Will you please drive with me? Because I want to drive with someone. But we'll see.
guy let me drive the car after he drove it, and it was like our second time going out. And basically we just understeered into the dirt. That's like simple terms basically. But this guy right before that, he tried to chuck it and he almost went into the wall. And I was like, let me see this shit. Why is this shit driving like that? And then I hop in and I'm like, oh, I see why it's driving like that. That shit was just, I don't know, that's bad. You need to, I don't know, bro. Car feels hella weird. That shit feels hella weird.
All right, Raymond. So you were telling me that you were telling Guillermo to go easy, right? Yeah. What happened?
Oh, I got a picture actually.
A picture? So what happened, Raymond?
I told him not to go that hard.
Guillermo's standing behind us, by the way, for like context here. But what happened?
I just told him don't go that fast, like don't go that hard. And then I don't know, like he was doing good over there. But then when we went over here, he was like, bro, your car feels hella weird.
and then that's just straight into like understeered into the dirt.
You just hit a fucking
yeet. Yeah, I don't know what it is, bro. I should have believed him because he literally was about to hit the wall. And then he was like, I don't know why my car's
driving when it almost hit the wall, because I seen that too.
That was me.
Then you guys switched, and then the other one went up on the mountain.
Yeah, because I was like, what the fuck? Why is it driving like that? And then I realized this is just a bucket.
So what does it do that makes it so everyone's fucking ass in this car?
It's rubbing inside.
Like the
you can't pull off.
So when it hits lock, the wheel hits probably the tub and it stops the car.
Yeah,
bro.
And then like you can't like
it just
turn
locks.
it back.
I have never felt that. Like that shit just literally just kept going, and I'm like, what the fuck?
What was the reaction in the car? Were you guys just dead silent, or were you guys screaming?
No, I was just like, we looked at each other and we were like, you think it's fucked? And
I was just like, hey, is anything broken at least?
You could have. I fucking seen the bumper in the sky.
Dude, that shit
There's no way you didn't see it through the windshield.
Nah, you couldn't. No, it was honestly not that bad. All it did was just eat a little bit of dirt.
Did you get this?
No, that wasn't. Yeah, that was already there.
That was already there.
Yeah, that was already there.
With the fresh
That's like
hay.
the worst damage.
Yeah, look. This was already here with the fresh hay from the fucking mountain.
Hey, look at inside. Oh, wait, I don't think you see it.
Oh yeah, it was rubbing the frame.
I know, that's why I've been. Why is it drive like that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, if anything else happens,
I'm telling you.
we'll show you. just finished loading up the car. As you guys can see, everyone is wrapping up here in the pits. We have the street sweeper on track. And yeah, the last few clips you guys would have seen was people finally giving me the opportunity to follow them. I love you, Gabe. I love you, Vincent. Thank you so much for letting me follow you. And I tried driving as aggressive as I wanted to without risking the feeling of I'm gonna total my shit if either I or them fuck up. So yeah, thankfully I finally got to follow people. It was a really fun day today, and we'll see you in the next one. So I'm here with Gabe and his beautiful GS he just acquired. He's the one I was driving with, and he's an amazing driver, probably the best driver I know, I'm not gonna lie. And thank you so much for letting me follow you.
Of course, anytime. Anytime. Now we need to switch.
We need to switch? But yeah,
Switch.
he's a little camera shy, but I want to walk through his car because this thing's kind of like sick in its own way. If you guys don't know Gabe, he used to have a really nice GR, kind of like the car behind the camera woman right now. And wait, this is actually his own car. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, this thing used to be slammed on a whole bunch of different wheels.
Too many.
Yeah, Ganadors,
Like everything.
angle kit. Yeah, what was it, Zeros or Maxes?
Had a Gardas.
A Gardas.
Everything.
Yeah. Basically what happened was this car was way too nice, so he got this so he could drive harder.
Yes, sir. You did not make it.
You guys want to see the interior? This guy is flexing on everyone right now with the twin Gardas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this thing also has a VVTi 1J R154. And what's the story behind this car?
So, I wanted a JZX.
Yeah,
Can't
we
afford a
all know.
JZX. So this car was basically 1/3 the price of a JZX.
He got this car for the price of the drivetrain.
Yeah, so I figured I might as well learn on this chassis, and when I clap it, chassis swap.
Yeah, you can just swap everything in a Tourer S and it'll be like you got his dream car for a fraction of the price.
Yep. And I get to enjoy a thrash car.
And also, one thing he's not saying is I've known Gabe for years. He's always talked about I want a 1GS, I want a 1GS.
I have always said
Now he has a 1GS.
Yeah, this is top 3 chassis. Yeah, and I love it. After today, I love it.
I'm pretty sure we got a lot of clips of you driving, but yeah, thank you so much for letting me follow you.
Anytime. Next time, hit me.
I'm not in that car.
Sounds like the other car.
I need to get a shit car now too, so I could
Please.
bump into you.
Please. Please.
By shit car, I mean I'm probably gonna get a clapped
350Z.
I'm gonna get a clapped S15 and
then put a 4.6 on a NASR.
put a 4.6 on an NASR.
It's fine. Just as long as you hit it. Hit it before I chassis swap.
Yeah, I can't hit you after you chassis swap.
No, you can hit that one. It's just that one's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I might get out a little sad.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Anytime. We'll drive more.